Chapter 8. The Power of No, Setting Boundaries and Enforcing Them. The importance of firm boundaries and how to communicate them effectively. Setting and enforcing clear boundaries is an essential skill for maintaining personal autonomy and emotional well-being. This chapter delves into why setting boundaries is crucial, particularly when dealing with manipulators, and offers actionable strategies to help individuals define, communicate, and enforce their limits effectively. By understanding the power of saying no and practicing assertiveness, individuals can protect themselves from emotional manipulation and reclaim control over their lives. The psychological importance of boundaries. Boundaries serve as invisible lines that protect us from unwanted or harmful influence, allowing us to maintain a sense of self-respect and emotional balance. Whether in personal relationships, professional settings, or interactions with strangers, boundaries help individuals differentiate between what is acceptable and what is not. They act as personal guidelines, helping us preserve our energy, manage stress, and establish healthy interactions. Psychological research consistently emphasizes the significance of boundaries for mental health. People who set and maintain boundaries are more likely to experience positive mental health outcomes, including greater self-esteem, less anxiety, and stronger emotional resilience. By asserting their boundaries, individuals maintain a sense of personal autonomy, which is vital for self-respect and mutual respect in relationships. Without clear boundaries, people often feel overwhelmed by the demands of others, leading to burnout, stress, and resentment. For those who struggle with boundary setting, manipulators can easily exploit the lack of limits, pushing individuals into situations where they feel powerless or obligated to comply. This is why learning to set firm boundaries is not only a form of self-care, but also a critical step in maintaining control over one's life and emotional well-being. Psychological research on assertiveness and personal autonomy. Research on assertiveness highlights the relationship between boundary setting and emotional health. Assertiveness is defined as the ability to express one's needs, desires, and opinions in a clear, direct, and respectful manner without infringing on the rights of others. Individuals who are assertive can say no when necessary, communicate their limits effectively, and maintain their personal autonomy. Studies have shown that assertive individuals are more likely to experience higher levels of self-esteem, reduce stress, and better overall well-being. Assertiveness allows individuals to confront difficult situations, stand up for themselves, and make decisions that align with their values, rather than succumbing to external pressures or manipulation. When it comes to resisting manipulation, assertiveness becomes even more crucial. Manipulators often exploit the lack of clear boundaries to gain power over others. Without the ability to assert one's needs, individuals may fall victim to emotional coercion or guilt tripping, leading to unhealthy dynamics. By cultivating assertiveness, individuals can stand their ground and prevent manipulation before it takes hold. The consequences of not setting boundaries. Failing to establish and enforce boundaries can have far-reaching consequences. Over time, individuals who do not set boundaries may experience a host of negative emotional and psychological effects, such as burnout and stress. Constantly accommodating others' demands without regard for your own needs can lead to exhaustion and emotional burnout. This is especially common in work environments or family dynamics, where individuals feel overwhelmed by requests and have trouble saying no. Resentment. When boundaries are not respected, feelings of resentment can build up. People may feel taken advantage of, exploited, or unappreciated. This resentment often festers over time, harming relationships and eroding emotional well-being. Loss of identity. Without clear boundaries, individuals may lose sight of their own needs and desires, becoming overly focused on meeting others' expectations. This can lead to a diminished sense of self, as individuals neglect their own emotional health in favor of pleasing others. Emotional manipulation. Manipulative individuals thrive in environments where boundaries are weak or non-existent. By exploiting vulnerabilities, they can control or influence others, often without the victim even realizing it. The inability to say no makes it easier for manipulators to push individuals into uncomfortable or compromising situations. Understanding the psychological importance of boundaries highlights why learning to set and enforce them is essential for maintaining emotional well-being and resisting manipulation. Real-world case study: Ben's journey to boundary setting. Ben's story is a classic example of how boundary setting can transform both personal well-being and professional relationships. For years, Ben worked in a high-pressure office environment where colleagues frequently approached him with requests for favors or last-minute tasks. Ben, always eager to help, found himself overwhelmed by the constant demands on his time and energy. As his workload increased, so did his feelings of frustration, burnout, and resentment. At first, Ben struggled to say no to his colleagues. He worried about appearing unhelpful or disappointing others, so he consistently put their needs before his own. However, this pattern eventually took its toll, leaving Ben feeling drained and unappreciated. His relationships with co-workers became strained, and he began to feel resentful of the constant requests. After attending a workshop on assertiveness and boundary setting, Ben realized that his inability to say no was directly contributing to his stress and burnout. He learned that setting boundaries was not about being selfish or unkind, but rather about protecting his own mental health and ensuring that he could perform at his best. Equipped with new strategies, Ben began to practice assertiveness by politely but firmly saying no to unreasonable demands. He used clear and respectful communication to assert his boundaries, explaining that he needed time to focus on his own tasks and responsibilities. Over time, Ben noticed a significant improvement in his work-life balance. He felt more in control of his time, less stressed, and more confident in his ability to navigate workplace dynamics. His colleagues also respected his boundaries, leading to healthier and more balanced relationships. Ben's experience highlights the transformative power of boundary setting. By learning to say no and assert his needs, he regained control over his emotional and mental well-being. Practical takeaway: techniques for setting and enforcing boundaries. Setting and maintaining boundaries is a skill that requires practice and consistency. Below are several practical techniques and exercises to help individuals assert their boundaries and resist manipulation. 1. The broken record technique. One of the most effective ways to enforce boundaries is by using the broken record technique. This involves calmly repeating your request or boundary without getting distracted or swayed by the other person's attempts to manipulate or argue. For example, if someone asks you for a favor that you cannot accommodate, you can simply say, "I'm sorry, I can't do that," and repeat it as necessary. By staying firm and consistent, you reinforce your boundary without engaging in unnecessary explanations or justifications. 2. Use I statements. I statements are a powerful tool for expressing your needs and feelings without sounding accusatory or confrontational. Instead of saying, "You never listen to me," try saying, "I feel unheard when my concerns are dismissed." This shifts the focus from blaming others to expressing your own experience, making it easier to communicate your boundaries without escalating the situation. I statements help maintain a calm and respectful tone while clearly communicating your needs. By using this technique, you avoid triggering defensiveness in the other person, which can make it easier to set and enforce boundaries effectively. 3. Practice saying no. Saying no can be uncomfortable, especially for people who have a tendency to please others. To build confidence, start by practicing saying no in low-stakes situations. This might include declining invitations or requests that don't serve your needs, such as turning down a dinner invitation or politely refusing to take on extra tasks at work. The more you practice saying no, the easier it becomes to assert your boundaries in more challenging situations. 4. Nonverbal cues. Boundaries are not only communicated through words. Nonverbal cues such as body language and tone of voice play a significant role. When setting boundaries, stand tall, maintain eye contact, and use a calm but firm tone. This nonverbal communication reinforces your message and signals to others that you are serious about your limits. By aligning your body language with your verbal communication, you project confidence and assertiveness. 5. Reaffirm your boundaries. Sometimes, after setting a boundary, the other person may try to test or challenge it. It's important not to back down when this happens. If someone continues to push past your boundaries, calmly reaffirm them by restating your limits. For example, if a colleague asks you to stay late after you've already said no, you can respond with, "As I mentioned earlier, I'm unable to stay late today." This repetition reinforces your position and discourages further attempts to manipulate or pressure you. Conclusion: empowering yourself through boundaries. Setting and enforcing boundaries is not just about protecting yourself from manipulation. It is also about cultivating self-respect, emotional well-being, and healthy relationships. By practicing assertiveness, learning to say no, and consistently reaffirming your limits, you can regain control over your life and prevent others from crossing your emotional boundaries. The power of no lies not in rejection, but in self-preservation, ensuring that you can engage with others on your terms, rather than being controlled by them. By developing these boundary-setting skills, you empower yourself to live authentically, make decisions that align with your values, and foster relationships that honor your needs and autonomy. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for more, and don't forget to subscribe, comment, and share your thoughts with us. We're in this journey together,